Okay, so how many people have seen John Wick? Just out of interest. All right. Well, just to tell you, I'll let our guests today tell you more about the film, but I had, a couple of months ago, I was at work, and I had the opportunity to see John Wick, and I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know anything about the filmmakers. It's their debut movie, but hey, it seemed like a better idea than working. So I went to see it, and it really is, for my money, the best action movie I've seen in quite a few years. It's the most fun I've had at the cinema in 2014, and I'm not just saying that because at least three of the people I'm about to introduce could kill me with their bare hands and or feet. So without further ado, I will introduce today's guests to talk about John Wick. First of all, Mr. John Wick himself, Keanu Reeves. Keanu's co-star in John Wick, Alfie Allen.
Alfie.
John Wick filmmaker, Chad Stahelski.
Chad.
The other John Wick filmmaker, Mr. David Leitch. And John Wick producer, Basil Iwanyk. So, gentlemen, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah,
Do
great.
people need to know any more about this film past the trailer? Do you think, or does the trailer say it all? What can people expect when they come to see this film?
I think they can expect to have a lot of fun and to actually have see an action movie with a little bit of soul and a great character, and played by your Keanu Reeves right here. So.
And a lot of bullets.
There's a lot of bullets.
And I want to talk about how you guys, or how you three gentlemen have a bit of a history, I believe. I want to talk about that in a moment. But one of the great things about the film, for my money, is that today, action movies tend to be very, very fast cut. So half the time you don't know who's punching who in the face. Whereas the great thing about this film is certainly, for an action movie, it does have these quite long shots. Where Keanu, it's quite clearly you, and it's quite clear that you're killing several people before the end of the shot. And I just wonder, how technically difficult was that? Why did you want to do it like that? Could you talk about those shots for a second?
Sure. Chad and Dave wanted to shoot the action in John Wick with longer takes, wide. See it really happening in front of you, which I feel really helps connect, to the character. You see what he's doing. It's not like he's there. Oh, he cut. No, it's just like he's right there. And the challenge of that when you do longer takes is there's no cutting. It's not that we're saying that there's no editing in the sequences, but it does put a higher demand on all of the performers for the timing and all of that, and the dance with the camera.
And to the filmmakers, why did you want to make a film of that nature with this sort of almost old school feel to it?
Well, I think that's the way we came up. We're big fans of Asian cinema, of Japanese anime. And we think that the longer the takes, the more vested you become in the character. And we had a great cast member who could do the longer takes, who had the physical capacity to do the kind of action we wanted. So we thought we'd give it a go.
And Alfie, I don't want to give too much away, but if Keanu is giving it out in this film, you're more kind of taking it. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that like for you?
Yeah, my training just involved getting hit a lot. But no, it was great. He did a fantastic job, and it was great to be able to work with such a esteemed. They've got a history with their stunts, and then the stunt team that was on it was fantastic. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
And maybe Chad and David, you could talk about how. You've known each other for a long time. Could you talk about how you got into the film business and what you did there when you started?
No, we started out, we have an extensive martial arts background, and we met each other through martial arts like 20 plus years ago. We came up through the ranks as stunt performers and fight choreographers. And we started a choreography company after working on the Matrix films, where we sort of learned the Hong Kong method of training actors and choreographing as a team. We started to train teams. shoot and edit our own martial arts sequences for film, and started stunt coordinating, second year directing, and then finally got a chance to tell our own stories.
And then, Chad, you had a special relationship with, much like England and America, you had a special relationship with Keanu through the Matrix movies and other movies. Could you talk about that a little?
Sure. I was fortunate enough to be one of the stunt doubles for Keanu on the first Matrix. It was a little tough. The cast member was really, really good.
That's kind.
It was very unusual for our line of work. But yeah, it was always a challenge to keep up with him, for sure.
And Keanu, could you talk about working with Chad down the years, with the relationship?
Yeah, I was grateful, and it was fun to in a way collaborate on the role in the sense of just the movement, the wire work, the training, and to have gone through the years that we went through in that. A lot of ice, and what did you broke your knee, collarbone? What did you get to do? Broke your spirit. Come on, man. No, but that one scene in the subway tunnel when Neil, my name is Neil, and he like jumps up, comes down, crashing down.
Yeah, it came down pretty hard. Gravity actually works.
Gravity works. I was in my trailer when you did that, and I heard that you went to the hospital or something like that.
Australia has nice hospitals.
Yeah.
And then you both graduated to directing Second Unit. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We were fortunate enough as stunt coordinators and fight choreographers to kind of continue and evolve in our workplace into Second Unit directing, which for a lot of you out there is directing the action or somehow directing the overflow of work from First Unit, which is the main unit stuff. Yeah.
And now, Basil, I believe the sort of story of this film starts with you. Is that correct?
It does, yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the script and what made you green-lighted and so on?
We bought the script from Derek Kolstad, who's a terrific writer who I think is probably in the audience, and it was a very provocative premise, to say the least.
Could you just briefly describe the premise, if you could?
Yeah, Keanu plays this character, John Wick, and you realize at the beginning of the movie he seems his wife dies within maybe 2 minutes into the movie, and he looks like he's in great distress and great despair. And the night of her funeral, he gets a package, and he opens it up, and there's this cute little beagle, and there's a note from his wife saying, "If you receive this, and I didn't make this, and you need to live for something. Start with this." And you get a sense that John is recovering, and just when you get a sense he's turning the corner, a bunch of Russian thugs, led by Alfie Allen, there's a home invasion. They beat John Wick up, they steal his car, and they kill his dog. But you realize that John Wick isn't just some normal schmo that lives at Jersey. He's like Sammy the Bull Gravano meets Neo meets Keanu. And he goes on and kills 84 people through the course of the story as vengeance for the violation he felt, not just with the dog, but being pulled into his to his old life.
Well, before we go any further, maybe we can see. We've got a couple of clips we're going to show from the film. Maybe we can see the first clip from the film. He's back. Keanu, what was it that attracted you to? How did you get involved in the project? What attracted you to the script?
Basil sent me the script. I thought it was fantastic. It has the character of John Wick, but then also you have the real world, but then there's this kind of underworld. And this kind of den of thieves that have this honor and have a code. So the film, to me, had this emotional connection with John Wick, who's grieving, who's lost something, lost the love of his life. Has this mythical dark past, and I loved the quest that he goes on to reclaim his life, and then the world that he moves through in it. And the film's fun. It's got a really fresh take. The action is cool, and some wonderful actors and characters in the piece, and it was fun.
And Chad and David, how did you get involved in the project?
We had known Basil from a few meetings before, and Keanu actually called and sent us over the script and see if we wanted to be involved in helping choreograph and design some of the action. We had read the script, and Dave and I thought, wow, this could be a really fun movie to direct. It had a different take on the assassin vibe. So we had talked to Keanu and then went and talked to Basil and see if they liked our ideas for it, and they did.
You know, we had been looking a long time for a piece of material that we could direct, and it was sort of this perfect storm. All the things that Keanu said about the material, the character, sort of the underworld, we responded to, but then to know that Keanu was going to play John Wick, we were like, we have to fight to direct this movie.
And Basil, how are you? What did you think when they said we don't want to second direct, we want to actually direct?
Stunt guys.
Exactly. They got punched in the head too many times in their career. No, I've been big fans of these guys for a long time, and they're very polite. And after our first meeting, they said, we'd love to come in for a presentation to direct First Unit. And you have nothing to lose by hearing any good idea. And they came in with an unbelievable presentation. And the challenge of first-time directors often is getting the cast. And while I was sitting around trying to figure out how to convince Keanu to take a leap with these guys as first unit directors, Keanu called me and said, incredibly politely, like, listen, if you're thinking about it, what about these guys to be first unit directors? And it was a thrill because I love their take and I love the guys personally, and Keanu was really excited about it. And it was the quickest, easiest process to get directors hired on any movie I've ever worked on in my career.
Thanks.
Cool.
And Keanu, what was it about them? I mean, why were you backing them so hard to do this? What was it about them that made you think they should step up?
Well, it started with the action, but over the years, I'd seen their company develop and had seen the work that they had been doing in second unit, and had been meeting with Chad and Dave about stories and storytelling, and their passion to want to direct and tell their own stories. And after reading the script and sending it to them, I was hoping that they'd want to direct it, and they did. And so I thought that they, with the vision that they had for the picture and the experience that they have and the relationship that we have, it just felt like that was the way to go for this picture.
And Alfie, how did you get it? How does a nice British boy get involved in this?
I got sent the script, and then I had a Skype session, and they seemed interested in me, and I
That's the simple version. Alfie did a Skype meeting with us, and he went right into the role. And we're like, that is awesome. You love to hate him already.
Yeah.
I had never seen him in Game of Thrones until after we had met, and then it was like perfect.
And you were good enough to have me down to your base in glamorous Inglewood not so long ago. And when I was talking to you, I got the impression that while all the action on the film was obviously a lot of work, this was something you were very confident about. But when I asked you how you felt, I mean, I should say beforehand that you saw Michael Nyquist up there. The film also, in addition to Keanu and Alfie, also has Willem Dafoe and Ian McShane and a lot of other great character actors. But when I asked you what it was like to direct those people, what did you just held up your hand and went like that? And I just found it fascinating that, could you talk a little bit about directing those actors? I find it fascinating that you guys are happy jumping off burning bridges or whatever, but the idea of directing Ian McShane is somewhat nerve-wracking.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there are some legendary, prolific, iconic actors in this movie, along with Keanu. So I guess as first-time filmmakers, we had a tremendous opportunity, and so I think we seized it. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking. I mean, they're at the top of their craft, so we knew we had to be on our game and make sure we were getting the performances, and not reel back and not collaborate, because there was this sort of instinct to just be like, well, they're pros, they're going to do what they need to do, but have a real dialogue with them as a director, talk about the character, and if we wanted changes, try to get those changes in it.
And we had Keanu who helped us out. He did great introductions with all the cast members.
And what was? Could you talk about the physical aspects of the film? You trained for a couple of months before the film. I just figured because you'd all worked before, I was like, yeah, no, I'll turn up and do this. But not like that. What kind of training did you do before the film?
You know, I got to do some stuff that I'd never done before. So there was some judo, there was some jiu-jitsu. I got to drive a car, got to do some 180s, some drifting. So I killed people with cars. I killed them with guns. I killed them with jiu-jitsu. I just flipped them and primed them for being killed with judo. But I'm not really killing them. They're like in my way.
It's not your fault. You're just one guy.
No, they
that
want to
wants
kill me.
you know.
I'm trying to get this guy. And there's people in my way, like 84 of them. So
It's my henchman. You know what I mean?
yeah. He's well loved. You're well loved.
And Basil, what were the kind of challenges on this shoot for you? Or was it just a total breeze from start to finish?
No, it was not. It was a very physically demanding role for everybody. We love shooting in New York, and New York is great. There was a lot of locations, but probably the most important thing was just literally not killing Keanu, because as you pointed out, he's in, that's him in most of those scenes, and it's very, very difficult to do. And we were, not only was Keanu working the 5 days, but on the Saturday and Sunday he'd be training or choreographing for the next action sequence. And, like everything, as a producer, you have, you want to spend $13 and you have $10. And we had Christmas coming up, and you're just trying to jam everything in, but also keeping everybody safe. And we had an enormous amount of action in the movie. And that's, if you're not on your game there, someone can get hurt. And that was a big challenge for the course of the movie.
Okay, let's see one more clip from the film, please. Spoiler: he does not like dogs that much in the film. I mean, in real life, I'm sure, but in the film, not so much.
Say that again.
You do not in the film. You do not love dogs. So much.
I have a dog myself, so I found that particularly harrowing.
And did they? I know in the film you don't get to drive the. Oh, you do get to drive the car. In the
I
film.
do get to drive the
And
car.
Did they let you do it in real life? Or?
They did let me do it in real life for about 5 meters. So yeah, it was good.
It was a very short distance, yes.
It was.
They drive on the other side of the street, don't they?
Well, we drive on the right side of the street. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to throw out questions to the audience in a moment, but all things being well, would you folks be happy to do John Wick 2?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Hot
Yosef, Resurrection. Right, John, it turns into a zombie movie, right?
I'm game.
Right?
Well, Keanu and I talk about the movie gods, and you don't want to tempt them before a movie comes out, but if we're lucky enough and blessed enough where the movie does work, we had such a good time doing this movie, and it scratches the surface of who this character is in this world, and I think we'd be really fortunate, but I don't think we're thinking in those terms, at least not consciously, maybe subconsciously.
Yes, let's take some questions from the audience. Where are the good people with the microphones? Here we go. What about just down here?
With bad characters or so-called bad characters, gangsters, with John Wick character, who's obviously is a killer, but how do you employ the audience to feel empathy with them, or to develop an affinity with them?
So the question is, with someone who is like your character, who's a hitman, who's presumably done terrible things, how do you get the audience on the side of your protagonist?
Well, I mean, Keanu always said this from the beginning. It's kind of like it is a eye for an eye sort of Old Testament story, and movies are stories, and we're just trying to tell a story about a guy that is in a really emotional, fragile state, and he is wronged, and whether you judge John, whether everything he did was just, probably not, but it's still fun for us to go on this sort of cathartic ride with him and experience that sort of revenge and sort of, I don't know, like how to say it, like feeling good. But
Yeah, but you depicted the character as having, a heart, as a kind of, and a strong love relationship, and his vulnerability before he gets into, he loses something, a part of his life, and he goes to reclaim that. And I think that, there's a part of us that kind of can relate to that idea of like, they came in my house, they crushed my, they beat
they
me
violated
up, they
everything you
stomped
had.
this dog, they and you're watching that and you're like, what? You want
Yeah.
John to like kind of get his life back.
want him to
So maybe we can just relate to it in a kind of way.
I mean, I think the irony of it my worry, our kind of collective worry was the audience was going to see the movie and say, God, literally 84 people are killed. And is it worth what happened to John Wick? And in fact, the reaction was, you should have killed more people. And we actually, our original version of Alfie dying was a lot more subtle, and the audience was like, no, we want to see him die. And we're like, okay. And so it was the man with the magic of movies that got us there.
Keanu, you've directed two really martial arts-driven, action-driven films that incorporate a variety of different martial arts techniques and styles and all. What did you learn from those that you brought to this, or what did you learn from this that you'll bring to the next film that you direct?
In John Wick, I got to do some things that I'd never done before, so it was like the judo and jiu-jitsu, a lot of that groundwork, the transitions, the choke holds, I didn't know anything about except for, watching fights and competitions, so that was new. And then just with the work that I've done, it was just, you just get more experience in terms of how to learn about choreography, how to deal with timing. Maybe in the beginning with The Matrix, where we would spend weeks going through a fight and all the timing would get worked out. Oftentimes on John Wick, we didn't have that much time. So all of the experiences that I've had and working with Chad and Dave, and them knowing me, my weaknesses, my strengths, and being able to put me in situations to succeed and get the shot, I think that helps. So the past helps the present in terms of just experience. I hope so. I hope to find a story to be able to tell.
It's also very handy to have a cast member that's done so much choreography, so you can train them and you can change, and it opens up the doors that we can shoot and how we shoot things. Also, you have a cast member who's also a fellow filmmaker. It's not like he can just look at the camera and knows what he has to do. I mean, it's an incredible time saver when you have someone so experienced.
Hey guys, my name's Rodney, future famous film director. Theon,
Hello,
I believe in you.
Rodney.
I love you, Keanu. I got a question. I'm nervous. Basically, you were Neo. You were the systemic anomaly. The Matrix is like one of the most important movies to me as a kid. How does it feel to be potentially another iconic action hero? And how did you guys feel actually getting them for the movie to make your movie, a Keanu action movie?
That's kind of you to say. Thank you. Hopefully people like John Wick. I had a really great time making this film. It's fun. It's got a freshness to it. It's original. So we'll see down the road. But, just to be here, we're having a screening tonight, so that's pretty, I feel lucky and good, so far. So if the dream gets to continue, that would be gravy and ice cream or something. I don't know.
And
we're
we were
super
very lucky.
grateful. Yeah,
super
just
lucky.
we had Neo.
First movie had Neo as our lead.
May you be so lucky.
Yes.
May you be so lucky.
I just want to say welcome to all of you. And Keanu, I followed your career. I really enjoy your work. And we actually share the same initials and also the same birth date down to the year. So my question for you, though, is what do you find more challenging now? Do you find the physical aspect of the role more challenging, or the learning of the lines, getting into the character?
Did everyone hear that?
Happy birthday. Recently. And big 5-0. Right? Ain't so bad. I don't know, the challenges or the opportunities, which is the pleasure, I certainly can't run up and down the stairs as often, as fast and as quick as I used to. But maybe with the experience, I know that maybe I don't have to go up those stairs, that it's down here, or that it's down there, and it'll take care of itself. So, but I really enjoy action, man. I really enjoy it. And I love when action is connected to story and connected to character. And this is one of those. So whatever it takes, however it takes, whatever we got to do, that's what I like.
Love your work. And since this is an action movie, I was wondering was there any horrible accidents that happened on set? I'm sure
Horrible
there's some.
accidents is the question.
Not for me.
No, not during any of the action sequences. No, we're very lucky.
No, I didn't.
Alfie, paper
Right.
cut, anything?
Horrible accidents.
No, it wasn't a horrible
Horrible
accident.
accident.
We made Alfie run around a lot naked.
Yeah. Which I do all the time anyway. But no, I had a little bit of a graze on my leg from a glass thing, but it was nothing. It was really, really boring. But it definitely was not a horrible accident.
Hi, Keanu. My name is Young. For your upcoming movies or for your previous movies, do you feel the pressure of getting an Oscars, or is there any at all?
The Oscar dream. I grew up, my mother watched the Oscars. And so I remember being a kid going, what am I watching? And then, because I don't want to go to sleep. But, and then it kind of, as the years went by and as I've been involved, as I have, certainly that's definitely been like a part of that, kind of like in those weird moments where you're like watching the Oscars, you're like that, aww. Can I, you go to a friend's house and they have the statues and you're like, and they always, the people who have Oscars are always like, yeah, it's my, it's whatever. And from the outside, you're like, what? But I don't know, maybe something happens to you. It's like once you get the Oscar, you're like, yeah, it's just over there. But I don't know. I mean, it would be cool just to have that experience. I mean, I've been honored to be able to present a few times. Which was cool, and meet some folks. I'm like that guy who, like, when there's commercials, I like run up to people. I'm like, Mr. Scorsese, Peter O'Toole, how's it going? Daniel Day, what's up? I'm like that guy. They're like, what do you want? What are you doing? I'm like, hi, man, I love your work. So yes, but whatever.
Hi. And we spoke a little bit about how we, the audience, are going to connect with John Wick despite him doing what we would typically assume are quite bad things. But I was just wondering how Mr. Reeves, and of course you as filmmakers, which bit of him did you connect to, and how much Keanu is in the role?
So how much Keanu is in a role in which you kill 84 people is the question, I guess.
I really, when I was thinking about working on the role, I really connected to his grief. I liked how he suffered in the film. He gets all beat up, and I liked that. I liked his grief and suffering, and I liked his will and his determination. When I work on a role, it's like the role is here, I'm here, there's the story, and the directors, and what's the vision of the story, and we all kind of come to meet, and then something else is born. So I'm connected to it, but it's of me, not from me. It's of me, someone else, been influenced, creative kind of idea.
It's funny. I think the biggest part of Keanu and John Wick is Keanu's formalism. He's a very, very polite guy, a very formal guy, and it comes across in John. It's a very elegant world. Everyone wears suits. There's a politeness, almost like an English politeness, where it's not an American rhythm of how you interact with people. And I think that getting to know Keanu over the years and seeing John Wick, I see that big part of Keanu in the John Wick character.
Hi. Keanu and Alfie, given that the main plot line of the movie is that you're both trying to kill each other, how do you prepare for that sort of hostility between those two characters? I mean, is it awkward moments at the craft station, or...
I wouldn't say I'm trying to kill John Wick. Give him a little beating, but yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get all method. Yeah.
And Keanu, what was it like for you? Because this is a film where every 10 or 15 minutes, another great character actor kind of turns up. And what was it like for you working with Defoe and Ian McShane and so on and so forth?
Yeah, it was one of the great pleasures. It was, those are two actors who I've enjoyed and watched their work, and so it was nice to. Everyone in the movie has like a past. Everyone has a mysterious past and a mysterious connection, and have gone through things that we don't see. So it was fun to have this this experience where you're doing, you know, I've met Ian a few times over the years, but to come to the set and just, you know, have this familiarity, you know, that is not in life, but in the pretend part, and but it feels real, you know, and so it was like, that was really enjoyable, like to have that conviviality and connection.
Hi, I'm Russian myself, so I'm pretty curious about why is it that stereotypical about Russians, and we don't kill dogs, obviously, none of my friends. And I have a question for Alfie. Was it hard for you to play a Russian, like, bad man?
Well, it's definitely come in handy. But it's no, it was. I was really excited about the idea of being able to learn some Russian and then be able to switch into the sort of New York accent as well. And it was I had a really good dialect coach who really stuck with me through the whole thing. And sometimes dialect coaches you kind of just want to be left to your own devices, but she was actually really, really, really helpful. But I enjoyed it, and to the point where I think you guys just kept on feeding me more Russian all the time.
Yeah, you were good at it.
Yeah.
And we have nothing against Russians. It just was in the original script.
It was in the script.
Yeah. Very colorful. We like that about them.
Hi, I'm Kerry. Keanu Reeves, I'm a huge fan of yours. Love your
Kerry.
work. Oh my God. I actually called out today from work to be here on my birthday because I heard you here. Since 12:30 I've been here. Love you.
Happy birthday. No.
Oh, no. But
No? You're like, no.
No. My question actually is for Alfie. Keanu Reeves has...
So you don't love my work.
No, I mean...
That was a setup.
I actually got cornered because from a couple of the fans when I told them I haven't seen the the Crown of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry. But Keanu Reeves has been doing martial arts for such a long time and has so much experience. In the movie, have you done any martial arts? And if so, was it difficult? Was there a lot of training?
Well, I actually won a karate championship when I was a kid.
Really?
We didn't know.
I did now. But no, I hadn't done any since then. But like I said earlier, I was kind of on the receiving end of the stunts a lot of the time. But I definitely came in, and on my first day in New York, I came in and wanted to watch these guys do their bit because it was amazing. I think some of the action sequences in it are genuinely some of the best action sequences I've ever seen.
Okay, folks, I'm afraid that is all we have time for. I can't recommend John Wick highly enough. And please put your hands together for the people who brought it to us right here.
Thank you.